The time by Caracas is 6 p.m. and this is CBX Business News. The business news headlines are brought to you by QMax Wealth Management, making more possible. Reconstruction growth, Trinidad's outlook improves, and China trade risks. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Monday, June 15, 2026. I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, Jamaica's reconstruction spending could lift GDP by more than 20% as major post-hurricane recovery projects begin moving into the economy. Also ahead, Moody's Ratings has revised Trinidad and Tobago's outlook to stable while affirming its Ba2 credit rating, signaling improved confidence in the country's economic management. And later, the European Union warns that trade imbalances with China could pose growing risks to global economic stability. Stay with us as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
If it were not for the Jamaica Stock Exchange listing, Phosphate Company Limited would not be where it's at today. I called them, they listened to my concerns and my fears, and they gave me the answers. All the fears I had about banks, about losing control, you are having them. And I tell you, they were dissipated when I spoke to the Jamaica Stock Exchange. This is one of the best decisions I have ever made in business. If you want to change the trajectory of your business and to grow, make that call today to the Jamaica Stock Exchange. You will be glad you did.
Okay, I just sent the money. I'll WhatsApp you the tracking number.
Thanks, Daddy. I can't wait to buy that PS5.
Listen to me. Your birthday money is not just for spending. You remember what I told your mom? Remember to open the bank account immediately after collecting the money. Your mom has her ID, TRN, proof of address, proof of income, and your school ID.
I'm not an adult yet, so Mommy will have to open the account with me.
Yes. Anyways, I'm headed back to work, so call me later. I love you guys.
This financial literacy tip is brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, promoting financial inclusion. For more information, visit our BOJ Real Talk playlist on our YouTube channel.
The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, Tease the Senses, and Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with what could become the largest economic intervention in Jamaica's modern history. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the government's post-Hurricane Melissa reconstruction program has the potential to increase Jamaica's gross domestic product by more than 20% as billions of dollars in rebuilding activity begin flowing through the economy. Speaking at the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce 41st Annual Awards Banquet, Holness says the country is preparing for what he described as the single largest economic intervention in a generation, with reconstruction spending expected to go far beyond simply repairing damaged infrastructure.
The reconstruction spending that will come in Nara, it won't be just any ordinary capital expenditure. It will be the single largest economic intervention that will be made in a generation, possibly in the 200 and odd years of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. It will be the largest intervention. The possibility is that we could increase our GDP by more than 20% as a result.
Holness also revealed that the government is currently in discussions with the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, to lock in adjustments under the utility's new license that could deliver what he described as tangible reductions in electricity and energy costs.
We are going through negotiations now. The intention is to lock in with a license certain changes that will see tangible reductions in electricity and energy costs for households and businesses. Jamaica's energy costs are prohibitive, and we have to tackle it. We must make substantial improvements in it, but we cannot place all our hopes for reduction on a renegotiated license. We must now explore in meaningful ways the large-scale deployment of alternative energy sources, and we must prepare ourselves to be able to deploy nuclear technology.
That was Jamaica's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness. Meanwhile, a new private sector policy initiative aimed at shaping Jamaica's economic future is expected to be rolled out in the coming months. President of the JCC, Emil Leiber, says the organization is preparing to launch a new policy framework called Big Bets, which is expected to create new opportunities for collaboration while helping to guide national economic priorities.
The JCC in the coming months will launch our online membership portal to create greater opportunities for collaboration and value among our members. And we'll also be launching our Big Bets policy framework, of which Rashel Cameron is a central figure. And Prime Minister will be speaking to you on that in due course.
At the same time, the JCC says its Downtown Kingston redevelopment initiative is demonstrating the potential for a wider transformation of Kingston into a major investment and economic growth hub.
What began as a focused effort within 8 blocks of downtown Kingston has become a demonstration of what coordinated action and genuine partnership can achieve. Working with public agencies, businesses, property owners, and community stakeholders, we have made the district cleaner, safer, and more confident. And the results point to something larger, the potential for a broader transformation of downtown Kingston, our capital and historic commercial center, into a vibrant city that attracts investment, supports entrepreneurship, and drives economic growth.
That was JCC President Emil Leiber. Jamaica's electricity sector could be heading for its biggest regulatory shakeup in decades as the government moves to introduce mandatory compensation rules to strengthen consumer protections. Energy Minister Darrell Vaz says the current electricity license held by JPS leaves customers exposed as there is no legal requirement for compensation when widespread outages cause financial loss, an issue brought sharply into focus following the June 5th island-wide blackout that disrupted businesses and affected hundreds of thousands of customers.
The current license that the JPS has doesn't speak specifically to a compensation mechanism, and therefore they, by law, are not obligated. However, the fact of the matter is that in a situation like this, as a company that has 690,000 customers, there must be a moral compass to say that we are at fault, there have been losses, what type of losses, what category of losses, and whether or not some kind of compensation, even in good faith, The new act and the new license specifically will have a compensation clause in there which will be airtight so that the citizens and the customers can be protected. And
that was Jamaica's Energy Minister Darrell Vaz. In other news, Jamaica's real estate sector generated nearly 100 billion Jamaican dollars in property sales last year, highlighting continued strength in one of the country's key investment sectors, despite economic disruption caused by Hurricane Melissa. New data released by the Realtors Association of Jamaica shows property sales reached $99.3 billion in 2025, with St. Andrew, St. Anne, and St. Catherine accounting for the largest share of market activity. St. Andrew led the market with more than $41 billion in sales from over 1,700 transactions, while St. Anne recorded $27.3 billion, driven largely by tourism-related demand. The association says the figures reflect what it describes as a dual market dynamic, with high-volume urban transactions combining with high-value tourism-driven investments to keep the sector resilient. The data also showed several parishes generated higher revenues despite fewer property transactions, signaling continued increases in property values across key markets. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Monday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 115 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 57 declined, and 23 traded firm. Leading the winners are the Limnas and Bards, Margaritaville Turks, Innovative Energy Group, and One-on-One Educational Services, while leading the losers are Jamaica Public Service Company 7%, Jamaica Public Service Company 9.5%, ISP Finance Services, and First Rock Real Estate Investments USD. The main index declined by 1,549.36 points to close at 339,737.64 points. The junior market index also declined, but by 39.28 points to close at 2,941.06 points. It's time for the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. In today's Market Education feature, let's talk about a stock market analysis tool known as the Head and Shoulders pattern. The Head and Shoulders pattern is a technical analysis chart formation that often signals a possible shift from a rising market to a falling one. It is made up of 3 peaks, a higher middle peak called the head, and 2 lower peaks on either side known as the shoulders. This pattern typically forms when a stock rises, falls, climbs to a higher peak, and then begins to decline again. Investors often view it as a warning sign that an upward trend may be losing momentum and could soon reverse. That was the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
We get it! We get the big contract! 50,000 units a month for 3 years! Great! Won't need help.
If you are a business owner that requires capital for the expansion of your business, talk to a registered broker today to find out more about listing your company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, an efficient alternative to other financing options.
Thank God for the Jamaica Stock Exchange junior market.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. Trinidad and Tobago has received a major vote of confidence from international ratings agency Moody's, which has revised the country's sovereign outlook from negative to stable. The ratings agency also affirmed the country's Ba2 credit rating, reversing a negative outlook issued just 6 months ago over concerns about declining foreign exchange reserves and external vulnerabilities. Moody's also cited government debt management strategies, including its January international bond issue, along with financial buffers such as the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. The agency also noted that higher hydrocarbon production expected from late 2027 should help support economic growth, export earnings, and external accounts. TNT's finance ministry described the decision as a strong signal of confidence in the country's economic management and medium-term outlook. The revision follows a recent International Monetary Fund (IMF) assessment that also expressed confidence in Trinidad and Tobago's fiscal position and debt sustainability. Barbados has entered a new phase of digital banking with the official launch of BIMPay, a national real-time payment system designed to transform how money moves across the economy. The platform went live Sunday night, allowing individuals and businesses to send and receive money instantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who completed the system's first transaction, says the platform is expected to create new opportunities for small businesses, sole traders, and informal operators.
When we have this digital payment system now, they will be able to take their digital records and show the bank managers, I am worthy, lend me the money. So there are a number of different benefits, and we want people to know that we have done this for my friend, the shopkeeper in Northumberland. We have done this for the people who fixing cars in Cave Hill. We have done this for the people who are itinerant vendors. We have done this for the coconut vendors. We've done this for all the people who otherwise either would find difficulty in being able to deal with transactions, who would be vulnerable in security situations, and who at the end of the day need to establish a record of credit with the financial institutions that they want to do.
She says the system forms part of a wider government strategy to accelerate Barbados' digital transformation.
As we realized that we were into the third decade of the 21st century, but too much of what Barbados was doing was analog. In the last month, we have been able to move digital. We have more to come. We will be launching other services over the course of the next few months, really to be able to bring Barbados back fully in to a digital framework.
That was Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. Meanwhile, Barbados Central Bank is moving quickly to reassure the public that financial data remains secure following the national launch of the new BIMPay digital payment platform. At a press conference today, Governor Dr. Kevin Greenidge stressed that the new system does not change how customer financial data is collected, stored, or protected. He stressed that the same legal and regulatory protections governing existing payment systems continue to apply under BIMPay.
Nothing has changed. We changed the system, but the data laws remain the same. In fact, we are not collecting any more information than we did before. The other information for us would be how often a person's account may be declined or something like that. No more financial information being collected, number one. So there's no more information you're giving me. I think I explain why. Because remember, the app itself, there's the real in the app. The real is the entire system, no more, but it's being collected. And that data is being collected still falls under the privacy laws, and it's still respecting truly the same area. There is never a case in the history of Barbados, Central Bank of Barbados, that any data has been compromise or share that shouldn't be shared anyway. It should be shared. And we don't intend to change that.
Allaying public hesitation, Greenwich described the platform as simply an easier way to complete transactions.
Picture the app as another credit card, another access to your money in your account. All the app does is give you ease of taking and making payment.
That was Governor of the Central Bank of Barbados, Kevin Greenwich. In financial news, Trinidad and Tobago NGL Limited is reporting higher first quarter earnings, supported by stronger performance from its major investment in Phoenix Park Gas Processors Limited, PPGPL. The company posted profit after tax of $32.1 million for the 3 months ended March 31, slightly above the $31.8 million recorded a year earlier. TTNGL says its share of profits from Phoenix Park Gas Processors climbed to $33.3 million, driven by higher earnings at the National Gas Processing Company. In a statement accompanying the results, Chairman Gerald Ramdeen says improved sales volumes, higher natural gas processing levels, and lower production costs helped support the performance. He added that lower natural gas liquid prices continued to pressure margins, though the company benefited from pricing differences across key markets. Meanwhile, total assets rose to just over $1.28 billion, while comprehensive income for the quarter reached $26.6 million. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 24 securities, of which 3 advanced, 7 declined, and 14 traded firm. Today's winners are Trinidad Cement, First Citizens Group Financial Holdings, and CIBC Caribbean Bank, while leading the losers are A.S. Braden & Sons Holdings, JMMB Group, Endeavor Holdings, and Republic Financial Holdings. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index declined by 8.20 points to close at 1,435.79. The Composite Index also declined, but by 4.90 points to close at 987.56. The Cross-Listed Index slipped 0.19 points to close at 71.05, with the SME Index also slipping by 1.62 points to close at 86.92. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
Mikey, is what sweet you saw?
Yeah, dear babes. Where's the catty? Me and you go party tonight.
Party? You secure your future yet? Careless.
Did you know that over time the stock market has provided a reliably high return on investments? Be sure to contact a licensed stockbroker for more information on this exciting investment opportunity.
Taking care of business, Mikey?
Yeah, catty. I'm securing my future. Want to come look over my stock portfolio?
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
Welcome back. In international news, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is warning that growing trade imbalances with China are becoming an increasing threat to global economic stability. Speaking ahead of the G7 summit, von der Leyen says 2025 marked a major turning point for the European Union, noting for the first time every member state recorded a trade deficit with China. She says the bloc's overall trade deficit with China has now reached a record 360 billion euros, describing the trend as economically unstable.
If you look at the year 2025, this will be remembered as the year where for the first time ever, all member states had a trade deficit with China. The European Union recorded its largest ever trade deficit of 360 billion euros. This is, of course, not sustainable.
Despite those concerns, European leaders say the objective is not to cut economic ties with China altogether. The European Union says it will accelerate efforts to reduce strategic dependence on China while maintaining broader economic ties with the world's second largest economy. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen reaffirmed the bloc's strategy of what she described as de-risking, not decoupling. The approach is designed to reduce economic vulnerabilities without disrupting trade entirely.
As you know, in Europe, our strategy is very clear. De-risk, not decouple. And concretely, this means we really have to step up and accelerate building domestic capacity on one hand. And on the other hand, we have to weave our worldwide net of free trade agreements, because this is the means to diversify our supply chains. At the same time, we also need to protect our market from unfair practices. Over the last years, we have developed and deployed our toolbox, from safeguards to anti-subsidy measures, to address unfair competition and even cases of coercion.
That was EC President Ursula von der Leyen. And we turn now to the United States, where fresh housing data suggests demand conditions remain under pressure. Confidence among U.S. home builders declined again in June as weaker demand forced more companies to cut prices and expand sales incentives. The NAHB Wells Fargo Housing Market Index fell to 35 in June from 37 in May, coming in below market expectations and signaling continued weakness in the single-family housing market. Current sales conditions declined while 6-month sales expectations remained unchanged. Buyer traffic remained subdued as elevated borrowing costs continued weighing on demand. The report also showed builders increasingly relying on pricing incentives to stimulate home sales. 35% of builders reported reducing prices during June, up from 32% in May. Meanwhile, 62% of builders offered sales incentives, marking the 15th consecutive month in which more than 60% of builders used incentives to attract buyers. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Are so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, Jamaica's reconstruction spending could lift GDP by more than 20%. Regionally, Moody's revises Trinidad's outlook to stable, affirms Ba2 rating. And internationally, EU warns China trade imbalances threaten global stability. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.